I was at the mall just before Christmas and happened to go into an entertainment store. And I was stunned at the prices I was seeing for vinyl albums. Now, there was a rack of vinyl albums, and of course, you would expect some collector's editions might cost a little bit more. But just for your random, run of the mill artists, your normal pop stars, secondary pop stars, all of that, we're seeing prices of $30, $40, $50. This was a little bit surprising to me. I did not expect this. That got me as an economist thinking, what is leading to the high prices of vinyl albums? My name's Matt Rosu. I'm an economist at Susquehanna University. I love taking a look at economics and pop culture to make it fun and understandable to learn economics. So please like and subscribe. And first, before we dive into the reasons, I did want to confirm that what I was seeing wasn't just some weird one-off, that this one store had higher prices than everywhere else. And a quick look on Amazon shows that's not the case. If you look at Taylor Swift, the costs of her vinyl albums will be double to triple the costs of her CDs. If you look at other artists, you see exactly the same thing. The vinyl albums simply cost quite a bit more. So what's going on here? Why would a vinyl album cost close to $50 after taxes for some artists when you could buy a CD for a third of the cost or a quarter of the cost, or stream the music for free or close to free? There are 4 good reasons why vinyl albums seem to be more expensive right now. Let's go through the list. First, fewer vinyl albums are being produced right now relative to their peak. Now, there has been a resurgence in the demand for vinyl albums, and vinyl albums even overtook CD production recently, as more customers have been buying vinyl than buying CD. Now that streaming is the most popular form, CDs have dropped off. Because of fewer vinyl albums being produced, what we see, though, is firms are not able to enjoy what economists would call economies of scale. So there is a production plant that produces vinyl albums. And those production plants aren't cheap to build. They're not cheap to run for a year, to all of the expenses to make sure the machinery is kept up to date. All of the legal compliances, all of the codes you have to follow, all of that stuff costs a significant amount of a fixed cost of money, regardless of whether you're running, 100 or 1,000 albums or millions of albums. When vinyl albums were in their peak, when there were hundreds of millions produced, you would expect these shops to be running mostly nonstop. And even if a production plant costs, say, $10 or $20 million per year in fixed costs, that could get spread over 20, 50, 100 million albums maybe. So the fixed cost per album could be very small. When you have fewer vinyl albums being sold, what you end up seeing is the fixed cost is going to be much larger per album. So some of this higher price likely comes from the fact that fewer vinyl albums being produced, the production plants themselves are expensive, and because fewer are being produced, there's a higher fixed cost per album, and that is getting passed on to consumers. But that's really only one potential reason here. And as we noted, CDs have actually dropped below vinyl sales. However, I suspect the technology in producing CDs is very similar to the technology in producing Blu-rays, DVDs, and so there's probably a little bit more complementarity there than what you see with vinyl albums. So one reason, economies of scale, they're not there like they used to be for vinyl album production. A second reason is specific to what has happened in 2020. There was a major fire at a record production company in California, knocking out a lot of potential supply of albums. Standard economic analysis shows if the supply will drop, the price will increase. That's something you learn in Econ 101. So the fire here caused supply chain issues, and anybody who's had a pulse during COVID recalls the supply chain issues in many different industries. And when you face a smaller supply, you face a higher price. And this supply shock has meant that there would be higher prices for the albums. Fewer units available. If you want one of those albums, you have to pay a higher price to get it over everybody else who also wants the album. This pushes the price higher. So that's reason number 2. Reason number 3, vinyl albums present a great opportunity for artists and record companies to price discriminate. Price discrimination is the process where a firm will charge different customers different amounts of money for essentially the same product. Now, the same product being the music from a particular artist. Now, I know vinyl albums are different and they can be collected, and that's different than streaming. But the person who wants a vinyl album isn't just looking to listen to the music clearly, right? If they wanted to listen to the music, they could just hop on a streaming service and get the music for close to free. They are looking to own a vinyl album of their favorite artist. And if they're willing to pay for it, in many ways, this is a dream situation for artists, because you have somebody who's basically coming in with a big sign saying, I want to pay more to my favorite artist. And naturally, the artists and the record companies are happy to oblige and give the opportunity for our fans of vinyl to pay more. Because of that, this is a form of price discrimination. Somebody who doesn't have a high willingness to pay, either because they don't care about vinyl albums or just they don't have the money, they can still listen to their favorite artists. But what the artists can do is they can ensure everybody has access to the music, which is a good thing, but then collect a little bit more money from the fans who really want this special item, the vinyl album. So this is a form of price discrimination. You see price discrimination in a number of other areas. You see it in movie theaters. You see it in places like car dealerships. You see it with senior discounts. You see it anywhere where different people are paying different prices for the same product. The fourth and final reason that we will go through for why vinyl prices are so high is that methods to produce vinyl albums that are environmentally friendly cost more money. So vinyl albums aren't good for the environment. To combat this, many artists, and the one that seems most notable online to me that I found is Billie Eilish. If you know of others who are, please go ahead and leave that in the comments. Some artists are going with more environmentally friendly methods to produce vinyl, but going through these alternative methods to produce vinyl albums, it's going to increase the costs. Why? Well, probably would increase the costs in general, but also let's go back to what we talked about in point 1 in economies of scale. If you have a method that's not being used extensively, there are fixed costs in setting up this new method. The fixed costs are spread over fewer units sold. That's going to increase the price. So there's a couple different reasons, the economies of scale, and even without the economies of scale, it might cost more anyway. Now, this actually poses an interesting, different economics dilemma in that somebody who's actually buying an album wouldn't know whether their artist produced the album in an environmentally friendly way. This is what economists call a credence good, a good where you could buy the product and consume the product and not know whether it was made in the quality you would want. Now, a couple other examples of credence goods. One would be a doctor's advice, right? If you go to a professional physician with some symptoms and they tell you something, you don't really know whether they're right or not, even after they tell you this, right? You've consumed the good, but you're not sure whether you got the right diagnosis. I, as a researcher, did some work looking at preferences for genetically modified or genetically engineered foods. That's another one, right? You could eat a product and you'd have no idea whether it was a genetically modified version of product or contained ingredients that were genetically modified. Albums are credence goods, and because of that, it poses this other interesting economics dilemma. If some artists have to charge more because it's environmentally friendly, are other artists then also charging more and basically either claiming the same thing or not claiming anything, but hoping their fans will think the same thing because they won't really know? That seems reasonable that could be happening. But the fourth reason we would expect, and we are seeing higher vinyl prices, environmental production methods can cost more. So these are 4 reasons that I am sure are causing some of the higher prices. If you know of other reasons that are causing higher prices, please go ahead and leave a comment. Let me know. I'd love to hear from you on this. One thing I don't know is whether these higher prices for vinyl are indeed here to stay. If the demand for vinyl keeps increasing, maybe that combats the economies of scale issue that we saw. That could be something that ends up causing prices to fall, which is a bit of an irony because usually demand goes higher, price goes higher with it. But if the supply increases to keep up with it and we see economies of scale, we would end up seeing lower prices. I don't know whether that will happen. Consumers in general are becoming more environmentally conscious, and I actually think often fans of music tend to be a little bit more on the forefront on this. So in a way, there's a little bit of a disconnect, and I'm kind of surprised that vinyl has had such a resurgence given the concern over the environment from producing vinyl albums. So I don't know what will happen. We'll just have to wait and see on that. But I hope you enjoyed this look at 4 reasons why vinyl prices are so high. Once again, if you like this video, please like and subscribe. And if you're new to the channel, I do a lot of economic analysis of pop culture. Check out some of the videos or the playlists. To everybody, though, look forward to seeing you in the next video.